I was correct. Yellow, my little filmer dudes, that's Super Sleuth. Welcome back to another Let's Solve Only Murders in the Building Season 4. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers, so my theory is actually in this video. I literally cannot fathom the fact that my theory about there being another murderer before Tim Kono, it was correct. It turns out there wasn't another murder before Zoe, but that's fine. There was one before Tim Kono. Where's my badge, FBI? Where's my badge? Where it be? I got the stash, I got the moxie. All I need is the underwhelming power of authority to make me feel pretentiously in control. But not for another few weeks, my filmer dudes and super sleuths. We got Only Murders in the Building Season 4 to be correct about. In short review, I said that Sazz had done investigations on the Westies because she heard Daddy Sazz make remarks about wanting Charles dead instead of Ben Glenroy. She then starts investigating the Westies and uncovers a little too much about their past, discovering that Helga might have killed someone before Tim Kono, and that she was posing as Dudenoff in Portugal, singing the sweet Portugal pork every month. But I specifically said there was a murder before Tim Kono, and this was the reason likely why Winnie got poisoned, the trio got threatened, and likely why all of this is happening in the first place. I had way more to this theory, like Sazz and Marshall working together and Sazz and Helga working together, but honestly I am omitting that. I am trimming the fat and keeping the juicy meat, and I do know what I was doing. So who are the intended targets? Is it what keeps flopping back and forth between Sazz, the trio, now Glenn Stubbins, and the trio? So who truly are the suspects? And let me tell you what, one, my lighting is accidentally gorgeous. Can we just appreciate this? And two, I still don't think that the trio are the targets, because listen, if the killers wanted them dead, clearly it would have happened by now. I mean, really, how long have they been looking at them? The killers have been watching the trio for 3 long years. That's a long freaking time to be watching 3 individuals. What have they seen that they should not have seen? I genuinely think that the killers are toying with our trio, and they're trying to get them to leave the Arconia because they're getting way too close to the truth. So Glenn Stubbins is like a warning shot, because let's say Tim Kono had never been killed, thus no podcast. So would Sazz have still been killed? I think she would have, because she knew Dudenoff personally, and her retirement is still something she wanted to do. And Dudenoff, as you'll see later, is a very close friend of Sazz, so her fate was kind of set in stone, I feel. So no, it was not the podcast that killed Sazz. The fates done snipped her string. So, okay, so why Glenn then? I think Glenn Stubbins serves as a 2 birds with 1 stone scenario. For one, they kill their actual intended target, and second, they continue to misdirect the trio into thinking the trio were the intended targets, when in actuality it was Sazz and it was Glenn, because Sazz learned too much, and because Glenn is a perfect scapegoat. And because he also knew too much. What? Yes, there's a theory going around that Glenn's insistence, his obsession over rats, has a deeper meaning, and since he has plates in his head, might be an indication that there might be a rat in the stuntman community. However, I think he might be referring to a rat in the Arconia. Could Sazz have talked to Glenn about her findings? I'm not quite sure, but listen to this. I'm starting to think that Marshall was the sniper. From where did he shoot? I have no clue if it wasn't in the Dudenoff apartment, but I do believe that he was a sniper. I mentioned last week that Marshall was present during all of the times, well really the only 2 times, but the most pivotal times in the investigation with Oliver and Mabel when they were trying to figure out the sticky mats and the footprints. And then later with Charles, when Charles had the epiphany that it might be 2 murders. After overhearing Charles, notice how he moves with confident intent out of frame, and from there we don't see him again until the trio go back into the emergency meeting upstairs. Y'all, we even saw Bev Mellon and her assistants escaping. We saw Howard faint. I believe we even saw one of the sister brothers, but not Marshall. Also, Marshall had to have gone to school for his screenwriting, and I know people don't need to go to school for screenwriting, but this is the kind of man who would go to school for screenwriting, right? I mean, after all, he's using a story clock. I saw that. That wasn't lost on me in last episode. That's higher education crap right there. Also, last episode, he said he had 2010 vision, which is said to be insanely accurate vision, and according to sources like Commonwealth Eyes and Dean McGee Eye Institute, yes, I did do research for this video, 2010 vision is so rare, less than 1% of people have it. And Marshall has it. It would make sense for a sniper to have insanely rarely accurate vision, which prompts me to believe that Glenn is the intended target because snipers don't miss, and Marshall even said the words, literally said the words, "I don't miss" in last week's episode. So why Portugal? Well, if you've seen any crime drama at all involving fugitives or even just murder, just watch Monk or just literally any crime dramas, you'll know that Portugal does not have an extradition treaty with the United States. I'll let that sink in for those who do know what that means. Let's have a moment, you and I. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that if someone commits a crime like murder and they manage to evade the authorities and escape to Portugal successfully, the United States government basically cannot bring you back legally. It's almost impossible for them to do so. It's just depending on the crimes, but Portugal, they wipe their hands clean. Portugal is a great place for new beginnings, honestly. Here's the thing. This is where Helga is now. So if this is where she is, will there be any vindication for any of the murders? I mean, we'll see, but this is where good old Helga has been hiding out for the last 30 years, which means she has 12 years left of living in Portugal since the statute of limitations is 15 years. I'm telling you, I did my research, and the research I did because I was afraid to use Google was that I actually used my Snapchat AI and I asked it about Portugal, and I'm like, here's the screenshots. Here's the screenshots because I need y'all to see the fact that my AI was very concerned, and I just want my FBI agent to see that this is proof. I'm not lying. This was my questionable questions were for research purposes only. So hi FBI, but also goodbye FBI. So here's what happened. As it turns out, Dudenoff was a film professor, and at different points in time, he taught all of the Westies, including and favoring most the sister brothers far more than anyone else in his class or his classes altogether. Well, one night, Helga visits Dudenoff's home to confront him, killing him once and for all. However, she alone is unable to get rid of the body, so she likely then involves the Westies' helps to get rid of the body and get Helga to Portugal as fast as humanly possible, evading the authorities. After all, Rudy still loves Helga, though she's already left him by this point, but Rudy will do anything for her, including getting rid of a body. So they done did it. They done got away with it. Helga is now living as Dudenoff in Portugal, periodically sending sweet Portugal pork back home for the babies. This would also explain why Mama and Papa Sazz don't allow Anna to get her own apartment, because absolutely everyone was involved, sort of like a Murder on the Orient Express scenario. Sorry if I accidentally spoiled a 7-year-old movie and a 90-year-old book. My bad. Well, here's the thing. Out of tragedy sparks opportunity. The Westies realize with this murder, they can easily frame the brother-sisters for Dudenoff's murder, bring Helga back home safely once and for all, and make a sweet-ass movie out of it. They can all hear it now. Coming soon to a movie theater near you. Just Killers on the Property. Written by Marshall P. Pope and starring the Westies. Yes! But wait, Tim Kono's a tiddly bit busy foiling their plans by getting murdered himself right inside the Arconia. Unluckily for them, but lucky for him, Tim's body was left behind for people to find. So, upon nearly finishing their own script and putting the pieces together to frame the sisters, the trio, Mabel, Charles, and Oliver, begin their own entertainment media in the form of a super successful podcast titled Only Murders in the Building. Damn it, that's good. The Westies' thunder was stolen. The audacity. So, what to do about these pests ruining their chances to follow Rihanna's lead and shine bright like diamonds? They poison Winnie, that's what. However, since that doesn't work, they proceed to watch the trio for 3 years. Again, that's so uncomfortable. Plus, this would honestly make Anna's comment about Charles having brittle bones make sense, because how else would she know that? Which also prompts me to believe that she does know about the murder. But now we're in the Pataki investigation. At some point during the last 3 years, after failing to make contact with her dear friend Professor M. Dudenoff, Sazz decides to pose as a brand new person and befriend and infiltrate the Westies, the last known people to have made contact with Dudenoff before he mysteriously disappeared to Portugal. I bet you she got real close to the truth. Perhaps that photo in Vince Fish's apartment is Sazz, and they crossed her face out because they found out that she lied to them and had her killed. You see, I think Sazz knew Dudenoff personally. I believe, I am making an educated wish here, that they are roughly the same age and that they were peers in the same field, not film, but stunts. Therefore, I believe Sazz Pataki told Dudenoff about the Sazz Pataki Impact Academy at one point as well, because Bulgaria provides the best bones for stuntmen. If Sazz got hers there and Dudenoff got his there, and if he has a shoulder from Bulgaria, that means he's a stuntman, and that, again, they did know each other. And this is likely the reason why Sazz contacted him in the first place and why she started doing investigations, because he did not pick up the phone. He would not return her call. So she said there's something up about Dudenoff, and she went to go investigate and found out all of the things that she shouldn't have found out, because it got her killed. It wasn't Charles. Charles wasn't the catalyst. I was wrong there. It was Dudenoff the whole time. Oh, this show is doing a wonderful job making us think Charles is still somehow involved in all of this, but I don't think he is. Oh, it's so good. And also, I told you so about those bones. They were off to me. There's 2 in there. Where are the other joints? I don't care. I don't care at this point. I just know that there's something off about those joints, and y'all called me cray cray, and I said nay nay, but not like the whip, but it just in the I told you so. I was right kind. Well, somewhere down the line, the Westies found out about Sazz. How? Likely through the cameras that they had in each of the apartments. In season 3, where Sazz was talking to Charles about some of those things, and where she mentions that some people wanted him dead on ham, I wonder if that was the catalyst for the Westies to go get Marshall and start planning her death. I mean, it makes sense. Marshall has amazing vision and he works directly in Hollywood. Having access to Sazz's personal and work agenda would be an easy grab. So, ba-boom, dead Sazz. See, in my head, if the Westies had been watching the trio this entire time, it makes the most sense that the Westies actually would want Sazz to be found. Why? I think for 2 reasons. Number 1, they could finally set the perfect stage to frame the sister brothers and get their dream movie. And 2, if things don't go accordingly, then they can at least threaten the lives of the trios to get them to run away for good. However, as we have seen, clearly things did not go according to the first plan, so plan B it is. If the trio can't pin this on the brothers sisters, then the Westies are gonna have to do it themselves. And oh my gosh, the Westies are kind of aggressive. So what does Marshall get out of this? Well, I think Marshall is the mastermind. I think Marshall is legitimately smarter than he's giving off. Honestly, what a performance. Plus, last episode, his foot got stuck on the sticky mat and that caused him to trip. But we all overlooked that. Let me see your foot, boy. Let me see the bottom of your foot, boy. I truly believe Marshall wants to use all of this as his sequel movie. He even said, I can see the sequel writing itself now, or something along those lines. He wanted all of this to happen the way that it is. This dude is a storyteller after all. Jan already gave us the clues all the way back in season 2. The showrunners, by having Jan appear in this earlier in this season, I feel was a little hint, a little reminder for us not to forget everything that we've learned from past seasons. I wonder perhaps Rudy and Helga truly are exes, and that is why they departed years before Helga killed Dudenoff. Helga maintains contact with Rudy, but that's only because Helga and Marshall are now dating and they're plotting the perfect movie and perfect revenge for Dudenoff. I'm guessing just like in the Brothers Sisters movie where they would do anything for Dudenoff, Helga would do anything for Marshall. Marshall convinced Helga to kill Dudenoff for the movie, and jealousy, and another reason which we're going to get to. And involving the Westies was always the plan. Only certain details were omitted. To the Westies, Dudenoff might have attacked Helga, or perhaps Helga might have simply admitted that this was all out of jealousy and anger, and that she made a mistake, and that she just wants to not be, you know, taken to jail. Whatever the case, the Westies must have related to some degree, but sealing the deal was framing the sisters brothers for the crime. I mean, who could pass up this mad opportunity? Great rent control scheme, which I still don't get. A free monthly subscription to Great Portugal Pork. Framing your worst frenemy. Getting rich and famous. Who could ask for more? But is jealousy really the motivation for Marshall? Yes, absolutely. You see, we have no idea what the M in Professor M. Dudenoff stands for, but I believe it stands for Marshall Dudenoff. I believe that Dudenoff, Professor M. Dudenoff, is Marshall's bastard father. See how I turned the tables on the daddy? I wonder if Marshall knows that Dudenoff is actually his father, but Dudenoff doesn't know this, and that his whole plan was to go to college, impress Dudenoff with his amazing screenwriting work, but Dudenoff did not care for any of the work that Marshall put in front of him and instead favored the sister brothers, causing immense jealousy to seethe and broil within Marshall. After Dudenoff gives them the cameras, that was it. Marshall decided, dude, enough. Down with Dudenoff. That is all I have for now. This is so much fun. I'm having so much fun with this. Did I actually think I was gonna be correct in the fact that there was gonna be another murder before Tim Kono? Yes and no. But I do have a favorite line. I should be getting favorite lines from every episode. That is something I'm gonna start doing from now on. My favorite line from this episode is Oliver's line. I mean, a lot of my favorite lines have been coming from Oliver, honestly, but this one is just hilarious, the way he said it. It's whenever Mabel told him that minutes isn't a thing anymore, and he's like, really? No one told me. I've been so precious with my minutes. Just the way he said it was amazing. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this episode. Who do you think is the murderer, or are the murderers? What do you think is happening so far? Please leave your theories in the comments below so that we can join them together and figure out what the crap is going on. My social media links are in the description below, and I will see you next time. You've just been Montified.